Hello. Hello,
Hello,
Leah.
ma'am.
Kekao.
Kekam, ma'am. Audible. Audible, ma'am.
Okay. Screen full കാണോ?
കാണാം, ma'am.
Screen കാണാലോ ഇപ്പോഴും?
കാണാം, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Sure. Thank you. എല്ലാരും വന്നോ? മെജോറിറ്റി ആൾക്കാർ വന്നോ?
സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യാം, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Sure. Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Priyanka, Senior Resident at Community Medicine. So today we'll be starting with a very short, interesting story about a young Swiss businessman known as Jean Henry Dunant. Have you heard about him? ആരെങ്കിലും കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടോ പുള്ളിനെ കുറിച്ച്? കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടോ? നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ആൻസർ ചെയ്യേണ്ടപ്പോ മൈക്ക് ഓഫ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് ഓൺ ആക്കി പറയാം കേട്ടോ. എനിബഡി ആരെങ്കിലും കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടോ? ഓക്കെ, ശരി. അപ്പം എന്താന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ പണ്ടൊരു ഫ്രാങ്കോ ഓസ്ട്രിയൻ വാർ നടക്കുമായിരുന്നു. അപ്പം എല്ലാവർക്കും മലയാളം മനസ്സിലാവോ?
കുറച്ച് ഔട്ട് ഓഫ് സ്റ്റേറ്റ് ആൾക്കാരുണ്ട്.
Okay, okay. I'm not sure. Okay. So the story was that there was a young Swiss businessman known as Jean Henry Dunant, and once he happened to witness a war in Italy, the Franco-Austrian War, and as expected in a war, there were a lot of dead soldiers, and also there were a lot of wounded and dying soldiers. So he happened to witness the situation there at the war front, and he saw that nobody was there to rescue them or to attend to them, and it was a very and they were all suffering, and it was a very sorry state. So he thought of what he could do, and slowly he went to the community, the local community, and arranged some relief services. So he engaged the church, monasteries, and set up a few tents there, temporary tents there. And with the help of the local community there, he could arrange some relief services for the wounded soldiers. Irrespective of the side in which they were warring, he tried to rescue and help the soldiers there. Later, he wrote a book called Memory of Solferino. Solferino is the place in Italy where this war was held. Then in this book, he suggested that there should be a neutral organization which should attend or aid the wounded soldiers in the time of war. A neutral organization in the sense, it should not side with either side of the war, but they should attend to all the soldiers or all the wounded casualties who were there who were affected by the war. So that was a suggestion made in his book. Just a year later, after the release of this book, an international convention was held at Geneva, and there they discussed the contents of the book and the suggestions put forward by Henry Dunant. And so they thought that it would be a great idea to form an organization which is autonomous, and it should be protected by an international treaty. അതായത് വേറെ ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു കൺട്രീനെ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വാർ ചെയ്യുന്ന കൺട്രീനെ സൈഡ് ചെയ്യാതെ രണ്ട് സൈഡിൽ നിന്നുള്ള സോൾജേഴ്സിനെ അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് ഒരു ഇന്റർനാഷണൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു അക്ലെയിംഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ഓർഗനൈസേഷൻ വേണം എന്ന് അവർ തീരുമാനിച്ചു. ആൻഡ് ദേ ഷുഡ് ഹാവ് എൻ എംബ്ലം ആൻഡ് ഇറ്റ് ഷുഡ് ബി പ്രൊട്ടക്റ്റഡ് ബൈ ആൻ ഇന്റർനാഷണൽ ട്രീറ്റി. അപ്പം ഇവർ റെസ്ക്യൂ ചെയ്യാൻ പോകുമ്പം ദേ ഷുഡ് ഓൾസോ ബി പ്രൊട്ടക്റ്റഡ്, റൈറ്റ്? When the organization members are going to treat or aid the soldiers, wounded soldiers, they should not be attacked by the soldiers on either side. So they should be protected by the international treaties. So with such a viewpoint, they started a movement, and that is known as the International Red Cross Movement. So it was established by Geneva Convention in 1864, and the name and emblem was derived from the Swiss national flag, because Henry Dunant was a Swiss national. So this International Red Cross movement later had regional societies all over the world, and we have an Indian Red Cross Society with each state having an individual Red Cross Society, like Kerala, Tamil Nadu. All of the Indian states have a separate Red Cross Society, and this is known as this International Red Cross movement or society. It is a voluntary health organization or agency. And today we'll be discussing about many such voluntary health agencies. So if you see the healthcare systems that we have in India, there are many healthcare systems, and if we can categorize it under 5 headings. That is public health sector, private sector, indigenous system, voluntary health agencies, and national health programs. So widely, which is most popular is the public health sector and the private health sector. Right, all of you know that ours, that is the government medical colleges, form a part of the public health sector. However, the public health sector has a lot of restrictions and disadvantages, if you can say in that sense. That is, we have many statutory restrictions as well as financial restrictions. And moreover, if there is, suppose you see, for example, if India is warring against another enemy country, neighboring country. So in such a situation, it is not possible for our team to go and rescue the soldiers there. It will be quite difficult for them because they will be attacked from the other side. So in similar situations and in such situations, it is always better to have such neutral organizations like voluntary health agencies, like your Red Cross and all. So they can cater to the soldiers of either side. And also they are very important. Actually, they are very much underestimated. Their power is very much underestimated by us. But if we can utilize them in necessary ways, then in a very efficient way, then they can provide a lot of relief to the rural population as well. Also, accessibility is an issue here for public sector, private sector, and all the other sectors, including national health programs. But even in such situations, in rural areas also, voluntary health agencies can play a very major role. So we'll see what a voluntary health agency is. So what is it? It is defined as an organization that is administrated by an autonomous board. That is, all the decisions can be made by themselves. They have the freedom to make their own decisions. And what do? They hold meetings and discuss the problems to which their aims. So the thing is that each voluntary health agency will have its own vision and aims. So, for example, some will cater to the blind, some will be catering to the children, and some will be catering to women only. Some will be catering to leprosy patients. So they will be holding meetings to discuss the problems and the solutions, possible solutions. And after that, they'll be prioritizing what the major problems, or what needs to be addressed the most and urgently. Accordingly, they will collect funds for its support, and that fund will be collected mainly from the private sources. And there will be many voluntary workers as well as paid workers to conduct or execute the program. And that is mainly the major, if you can broadly say, everything will be pointing to furthering the public health by providing health services, or via health education, or via advancing the research or legislation for health, or by a combination of these activities. So voluntary health agencies can be defined as an organization that is administrated by an autonomous board, which holds meetings, collects funds for its support, chiefly from private sources, and expends money, whether with or without paid workers, in conducting a program directed primarily to furthering the public health by providing health services or health education, or advancing the research or legislation for health, or by a combination of these activities. So there are a bunch, actually only few of them are being mentioned in our park and our program, but there are a lot of voluntary health agencies. And you will be asked short questions on VHA. So what are the functions? The main function is to supplement the work of government agencies. Definitely, it's not possible, especially in a country like ours with such a huge population, to replace the work of government agencies. But certainly, the government agencies also have a lot of limitations or restrictions. So there will be lack of fund, there will be lack of personnel or staff. Like for example, even in PHCs in many parts, there may be lack of basic lab equipment or like microscope, etc. So in such situations, the VHA, the voluntary health agencies, what they can do is they can contribute funds, they can lend the personnel or staff, and also provide equipment or supplies. So that will be of great help to the people there. Next is pioneering. Here also, the other systems, like the government system, they cannot suddenly start a new method of doing things. They have to follow the tried and tested way to, whether it's for treatment or whether it's for vaccination or first aid or anything, family planning or anything. What the tried and tested methods are, only that is that can be executed or done by the government institutions. However, voluntary health agencies, they have the freedom or the independence to pioneer things. That is, they can explore new ways and methods of doing things. For example, the family planning program in India, it is running quite successfully now, but it actually came into existence because of a voluntary health agency known as the All India Women's Conference, and also many other agencies. What happened is the All India Women's Conference, they were mainly aiming at reducing the plight of rural areas. Repeated pregnancies, repeated and quick pregnancies were a huge problem. So what they did was they mobilized help into the community. That is, they kept outreach sessions using skippo vans. So vans or vehicles were there, and in that they would allow personals to go. The staff would go and they would provide health education as well as provide a lot of materials for family planning. So when this became a success, the government of India adopted this program and they formed a policy and later a program on family planning. So what VHA does, or Voluntary Health Agency does, is it does research, and when the research succeeds, then the government can easily take over to benefit the larger population. So that is the second function. Third is education. So as we know, health education is very, very important, especially in many of the rural population of our country. And the government agencies, due to lack of funds as well as lack of staff, we know what our doctor-patient population ratio is. It's quite, it's not easy for each, for our rural population to have access to health education and other facilities that are enjoyed by their urban counterparts. So health education, like for example, boiling and using water, potable water, how to have access to potable water. That is, you can take the water and boil it for so and so 10 minutes and then use it. Straining water, then preparing ORS, menstrual hygiene and sanitation. Such simple things which it's not easy to imagine this when we are sitting in Kerala, where most of our population is very literate. But in states, in our northern states, it is a pathetic state, especially in the rural villages and all. So there, the VHA, what they do is they provide education, health education, and teach the people of the community. They come into the community and stay there and teach them how to use certain amenities or how to access things. So that is also a very important function. Next is demonstration. So a famous demonstration which we always say as example is the demonstration of Borehole Latrine by Rockefeller Foundation. So hookworm infestation or hookworm infection in India was a very huge problem. And now definitely it has come down a lot. So it is not easy to treat all the hookworm patients. One is most of it goes undetectable, then later manifests when anemia sets in. So that will be at a later stage. And instead of treating it or curing it with by giving medicines, it is always better to prevent it, right? So the borehole latrine, which is you can say it is a forerunner of the presently used latrine. It was initially made, and with just they have to Rockefeller Foundation is a very famous VHA. What they did was they went to the Madras presidency in way back in 1920s and 1930s, and they asked consent of the community families, each family, whether they are ready to allow them to make borehole latrines for them. And so those who all had agreed, these Rockefeller Foundation people, members, they went and made borehole latrines for them. So it is not a permanent solution, but it was definitely a good solution for those people at that time. Then it was demonstrated that the hookworm infestation or infection in that population had come down drastically. So this is a form of demonstration. It is a you can say it is a following part of the pioneering that is done. The fifth is guarding the work of government agencies. So the VHAs, the voluntary health agencies, can set a good example, and they can always guide and criticize the work of government agencies, and advancing health legislation. So the voluntary agencies can also mobilize the opinion. They can go into the community and ask about the needs of the community, the opinion of the community on different programs or schemes that are run by the government. And then if there is any problem or issue, or if there is any difference of opinion, these VHAs can bring it and allow it to be heard by the government. So they can bring up the matter and voice the opinion of the community to the government officials, and can help in altering or changing or advancing the legislation or the laws in case of health matters for the benefit of the community. So there are many voluntary health agencies like the Indian Red Cross, the Hind Kusht Nivaran Sangh, Indian Council for Child Welfare, Tuberculosis Association of India, etc. So we'll see all of it one by one. Coming to Red Cross, you already know the story behind how it was introduced or organized. Okay, now we'll skip to the role of Red Cross, how after it came into being, after the organization came into being, it was mainly concentrating on the war victims of war. But later it was realized that even natural disasters like flood, earthquakes, pandemics, epidemics, etc., drought can also cause a lot of human suffering. So they also need to be addressed. So later they came forward, the Red Cross came forward for disaster service, and as also for service to war veterans, providing first aid and nursing, health education, and also for maternal and child welfare services. So they are their main aim is to be present during for the service of humanity during war as well as at peace. Because at peace also human suffering was there. It is not necessary that there has to be a war, right? So they decided to give or provide service to humankind or mankind during peace as well as during war. So then coming to the regional, the Indian Red Cross Society, it was established by an act of the Indian legislature. Main objectives were to improve health, prevent disease, and mitigation of suffering. And has a network of more than 400, actually more than 700 branches all over the world. This is the symbol or the logo of Indian Red Cross Society. Now coming to the activities, it does relief work, as you know, flood relief, drought relief, and wherever there are natural calamities or where relief work is required, they come forward with all their amenities and they provide service. They set up camps and temporary latrine services, sanitary services. They provide a lot of drugs, etc. Then coming to the main other function, that is milk and medical supplies are provided. So they already have their own hospitals, dispensaries, maternal and child welfare centers, schools, and orphanages. And even other private and public institutions also receive the medicines, milk supplies, milk powder, and vitamin tablets and all given free of cost by the Red Cross. Then armed forces. Armed forces. So the sick and wounded soldiers were also catered. That was one of the primary functions of, as we had mentioned earlier, of the Red Cross. So they also have the Red Cross home in Bangalore. It's the only one of its kind in India and Far East for the permanently disabled ex-servicemen. Then maternal and child welfare services. Here the financial aid is provided as well as technical advice is given, and they have their own
Hello,
Ma'am, audible on. Hello.
Hello.
Ma'am, audible on.
Hello.
Hello. Ma'am, audible on.
Hello, Kekao.
Keka, ma'am.
Audible on. Okay, sure. Internet connection is unstable. Okay. So then the next function is family planning. So several states in India have family planning clinics that are running under the Indian Red Cross banner. Then another main function is blood banks and first aid. So you can see a picture here. That is the blood donation camps are held. Then first aid services, the first aid, how to provide first aid and how CPR is done, is all these are taught voluntarily by the voluntary members of Indian Red Cross Society to medical and paramedical staff as well as to common men and all. Here you can see how a blood donation drive is being conducted and coordinated. So they encourage people to donate blood and they conduct it in a very scientific manner. And also they have blood banks to store it and they mobilize it with the help of ambulance services to places which require. What do you see here? You see two pictures, right? So it's easy to guess what disease it is, but it is not commonly seen now, right? So what is it?
Leprosy.
Which is the disease?
Leprosy.
Very good. So leprosy, correct. So it is not easy to spot leprosy patients nowadays, but a few years back, about 20 years back, it was quite common to see lepers sitting outside temples, mosques, churches, and even other institutions on the road as beggars and all. So there were not enough treatment sanatoriums or treatment centers available for them. And then, way back then in 1950s, the Hind Kusht Nivaran Sangh was founded in New Delhi with its headquarters in New Delhi. And it is actually its precursor was the Indian Council of the British Empire Leprosy Relief Association, which was renamed as LEPRA. So what is the main function? That is to provide financial assistance to various leprosy homes and clinics, health education through publications, training of medical workers and physiotherapists, conducting research and field investigation, organizing All India Leprosy Workers Conference, and publication of Leprosy in India, which is a quarterly journal. So these are the most common programs of the Hind Kusht Nivaran Sangh. So they also provide free OPDs, provide free trainings, and mobile medicines are given, and also weekly dressings are provided. In addition to the research work and the PG training programs, and even the medical and medical professions and paramedical professions are given training by the Hind Kusht Nivaran Sangh. Then it has branches all over India in cooperation with the government and other VHA. So here you can see a picture of our Prime Minister and our other minister sitting in the valedictory function of National Bravery Awards of 2017. So this has been conducted by, you might have seen such National Bravery Awards. This is one such prestigious function, and this is being hosted by the or conducted by the Indian Council for Child Welfare. You might have heard this name before. So what is it? It is also a voluntary health organization established in 1952, which is a very prestigious organization affiliated with the International Union for Child Welfare, and it has a huge network all over India. And the services are mainly to for the India's children, to provide or to secure for India's children those opportunities and facilities by law and other means which are necessary to enable them to develop physically, mentally, morally, spiritually, socially, and in a healthy and normal manner in conditions of freedom and dignity. They have programs with special focus on the girl child, as well as training programs for child care workers, projects for street and working children. They also sponsor school education for the underprivileged. They also make creches for children. And of course, there are many honoring activities that are done for children for bravery or child artists. And also rehabilitation of abandoned children are also done. And, also, there are many nutritional, educational, and supportive services are provided through various centers under the VHA. Then coming to Tuberculosis Association of India. So this is the logo. It's unlikely that you've seen this. So this is the red one. This is the logo, and it was formed in 1939. It was one of the oldest voluntary health organizations or agencies, especially for tuberculosis. And the activities of this or association comprises mainly organizing a TB seal campaign, mainly to raise funds. Every year, TB seal campaigns are conducted to raise funds, and also they train doctors, health visitors, and social workers in anti-tuberculosis work. Also, they help in funding the various research activities for different TB treatment and control. Then they promote health education in regard to TB and promote consultation and conferences. And there are many institutions like the New Delhi Tuberculosis Center, the Tuberculosis Hospital at Naroli, and the King Edward VII Sanatorium at Dharampur, and Lady Linlithgow Sanatorium at Kasoli, which come under this association. Now coming to Bharat Sevak Samaj. This is an autonomous organization that was established in 1952 by the Planning Commission, the Government of India. It is actually a national development agency. Though it is an autonomous agency, it was set up by the Planning Commission of India, by the Government of India. So what does it do? It is a non-political is to help people achieve health by their own action and efforts. They mainly focus on the villages in improving the sanitation of the villages. Then coming to the Central Social Welfare Board. This is also an autonomous organization. So as we have seen that there are a lot of VHAs or voluntary welfare organizations running in the country, and they, in the course of time, they also face certain difficulties in catering or executing their job. So this organization, the Central Social Welfare Board, this is an autonomous organization which comes under the administrative control of Ministry of Education. This was also set up by the Government of India in 1953, and its main function is to survey the needs and requirement of the such voluntary welfare organizations in the country. That is the major function. And they have to promote. They also, as we know, that VHA can do a lot of wonders, especially for the most required, the rural areas. So this board, what it does is it promotes the setting up of such organizations on a voluntary basis, and also provides financial aid to those who deserve it. So they assess such organizations and give financial aid also. Then the activities are activities include teaching of craft, social education, literacy classes, providing literacy classes to adults as well. then providing maternity aid for women, distribution of milk, balwadis, and organization of play centers for children. The board also started a scheme of industrial cooperatives to help the lower middle class women by providing financial aid to them. Then coming to the Kasturba Memorial Fund. You can see in the picture, this is Kasturba Gandhi, Mrs. Kasturba Gandhi. And after her death in 1944, there was a memorial fund created in her name, the VHA. And the fund was raised with the main objective of improving the lot of women, that is, the women in or the ruralmost corners of our country, especially through Gram Sevikas. So the training of Gram Sevikas were undertaken, financial aid was provided, they were educated, and through them, an effort was being made to educate the women, the rural women of our country. The trust has nearly crores of rupees and it is actively engaged in various welfare projects in our country. Then coming to the Family Planning Association of India, I've mentioned before at the initial part of the class regarding the activity of Family Planning Association and how it was adopted by the Government of India, along with the actually the Family Planning Association of India, along with the Women's Commission, had done a lot of work regarding or the health education, providing health education of women regarding family planning, and also providing a lot of services to them with regards to family planning. So they run a lot of family planning clinics with granting aid from the government, and its headquarters is in Mumbai. So they also train several doctors, health visitors, and social workers, like for insertion of copper tea, etc. And one of the activities of the headquarters is to answer the inquiries on family planning by correspondence or by personal interviews. The other one is All India Women's Conference. Here you can see that a medical camp is being conducted, and a lot of people are there. Especially you can see from the banner there that the All India Women's Conference or the Allahabad branch is conducting a medical camp, and a doctor is prescribing medicines. Might have heard it before also. It is the another very famous VHA, voluntary health organization, that is the All India Women's Conference. This is actually the only women's voluntary welfare organization in the country. It was established in 1926 and it has branches all over the country now. So they are running maternity clinics, mother and child health and welfare clinics are being conducted. Many medical centers, OPs are being conducted, adult education centers are being conducted, as well as milk centers and family planning activities are also being done. And with the course of time, they have also undertaken relief or providing relief and OP to medicines and drugs to whatever pandemics are occurring in the country. So latest now they are doing a lot of work regarding the COVID relief. Now coming to the All India Blind Relief Society. This was established in 1946 with the view to coordinate the different institutions working for blind. As we know, there are a lot of local and regional institutions working for the blind, but they have a lot of issues regarding funding and all. Financial constraints are there. Also, they have many other problems of access and all. The All India Blind Relief Society, what it does is it coordinates the different institutions working for the blind. So with the help of All India Blind Relief Society, they can provide better execution of their visions and aims. So it organizes eye relief camps and also other measures for the relief of blind. Also, it helps in the conduct of cataract surgeries, etc. Now, coming to the professional bodies, they are also voluntary health organizations which help in help the professionals that which, like for example, the IMA, the Indian Medical Association, the IMA and the trained All India Dental Association, the Trained Nurses Association of India, All India Licentiates Association. All these are also voluntary agencies of men and women who are qualified in their respective specialties and who possess registrable qualifications. So what they do is they provide a lot of fund to the where it is needed. For example, in case of pandemics or where natural calamities are there, they provide their personnel as well as funds are released for the activities, and also they set up or make standards, professional standards for education in the respective field. Then there are coming to the last part, that is international agencies. The international agencies, this is a well-known international agency, that is the Rockefeller Foundation, the Ford Foundation, and the CARE or Cooperative for Assistance and Relief Everywhere. Rockefeller Foundation we had discussed earlier. They were the pioneers in setting up the Borehole Latrines in Madras constituency, which was later taken up by the government and established in many of the other parts of India, especially the rural parts. And there are other foundations, many such foundations also. So that is it. So you know what. So just to recapitulate, we'll see the definition of voluntary health agency. What is a voluntary health agency? It is an organization that is administered by an autonomous board. It holds meetings, collects funds for its support, chiefly from private sources, and spends the money with or without paid workers to further the public health. So they provide health services, health education, also help in advancing the research or legislation for health, or by a combination of these activities. So as we went through all these, the list of the common VHAs in India, we could see that many of the functions were overlapping, except for some which were specifically concentrated on a particular disease or a particular section of our vulnerable community, like for example, for leprosy alone, or for blindness alone, or for children or women alone. The rest of it, you can see that most of the functions are almost the same, right? Okay, we'll just briefly go through the functions once more. So the major function is to supplement the work of government agencies and pioneering, explore the ways and means of doing new things. We've discussed that before. And providing health education, demonstration, guarding the work of government agencies, advancing the health legislation. And these are the major functions. And what are the voluntary health agencies in India? The Indian Red Cross Society, Hind Kush Nivaran Sangh, Indian Council for Child Welfare, Tuberculosis Association of India, Bharat Sevak Samaj, Central Social Welfare Board, the Kasturba Memorial Fund, Family Planning Association of India, All India Women's Conference, professional bodies, and international agencies. We've gone through the details or the relevant details of each of them. Okay, so that's all for the class. Now I'll be sending the your attendance link. Hello, Leah.
Yes, ma'am.
ഈ ചാറ്റിൽ ഇട്ടാ മതിയോ ലിങ്ക്?
മാം കുറച്ചുപേരെ യൂട്യൂബിൽ അറ്റൻഡൻസ് ഇട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. റേഞ്ച് ഇല്ലാത്തവര് യൂട്യൂബ് ലൈവ് സ്ട്രീം കാണുന്നവരുണ്ട്.
ഓക്കെ, അപ്പം അവർക്ക് ഞാനിങ്ങനെ ആ ലൈവ് ഓൺ യൂട്യൂബ് അതിൽ പോയാൽ കിട്ടുമോ? ഒന്ന് അയച്ചു കൊടുത്തേക്കാവോ? ഞാൻ ചാറ്റിൽ ഇട്ടേക്കാം.
ഞാൻ
ഓക്കെ, ചാറ്റിൽ ഇതെങ്ങനെ അയച്ചു തരാം?
മാം ഇല്ലെങ്കിൽ എനിക്ക് വാട്സാപ്പ് ചെയ്താലും മതി.
കിട്ടിയോ? ടു എവ്രി വൺ അയച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. കിട്ടിയായിരുന്നോ?
കിട്ടി മാം. മാം ക്ലാസ് എന്ത് ചെയ്യാം?
ക്ലാസ് എന്ത് ചെയ്യാം? ഞാൻ എൻഡ് ചെയ്താലും അറ്റൻഡൻസ് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് അയക്കാൻ പറ്റുമല്ലോ അല്ലേ?
പറ്റും മാം.
ഓക്കെ ശരി.
ഓക്കെ ശരി.
ശരി, താങ്ക് യു.
താങ്ക് യു മാം.
ഓക്കെ.